First of all, I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing frogs.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go down that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got that.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Come on, Lou Taylor. You got screwed. I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but
the
an
Chinese
erratic
Mickey
detective
Rodriguez.
is Mickey Rodriguez.
Why an African slap an Indian? Why a man and slap a woman? Look, girl, how you deal with that? You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
Kingdom, you apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that. Hi there, welcome to the Freddie Kissoon Show with co-host Akash has left us, with Leonard Craig. In case you didn't know, let me repeat it. Mr. Leonard Craig has a first degree in economics from the University of Guyana, a second degree, a master's from the Berlin School of Economics, and recently completed his doctorate at Harbin Institute of Technology in China. So he is a well-accomplished intellectual. Our two guests this evening are special to this program. I have indicated to them that they have a blank check to appear on this program whenever they feel there is something in their mind or soul that they want to ventilate to the viewers. They can use the platform of the Freddie Kissoon Show. And that is, the reason for that is because they have made this show a success. They have never refused a request. They have came here more than 5 times, and each time we have to be grateful to them because our viewership goes up. And I'm certain this evening our viewership will go up. Our guest this evening is the Minister of Labour, the Honourable Joseph Hamilton, and PNC stalwart and attorney at law, 007 with a license to roam, James Bond. Our topic this evening is examining the content, the political content of Guyana until we reach November 2025 when there is a national election. We want to probe their minds on a number of configurations. I will offer those configurations as we go along in the form of questions. But we start with, has the campaign started? From my reading of the situation in Guyana, one party has already started campaigning, and that is the Alliance for Change. They have been hectic in and out of Guyana. So I will ask these two gentlemen to answer separately this question on my mind, and then we'll go to Leonard Craig. And that is, what is likely to be the results? What do they think is the likely results of the 2025 elections? An increase for the PPP, a decrease for the PNC, an increase for the PNC, a decrease for the PPP. Is there a big showing for the AFC under Nigel Hughes? ANUG, a new and united Guyana, headed by attorney Timothy Jonas, he said on this program they're hoping to get 4 votes, 4 seats. Then We have read in the newspapers a new formation is about to be announced, and Wajunja Bisesar, who is a personal friend of Leonard Craig, has launched his own party. So I think between now and November, there's going to be a lot of political heat circulating and penetrating Guyana. That is my question. We normally go alphabetically, but with due respect to the minister, we start with the minister.
Okay, Freddie, thank you very much again for having me here. Leonard, it's a pleasure to be sitting next to you. We go back long time ago before politics and so.
He's an old head,
as I
minister.
said, no, Leonard used to be my son's maths teacher.
He's an old head then.
Long years ago. But you know, look, when you're analyzing politics, you have to do it not for the present and what the future is likely to bring. You have to do it the history of the matter. And so if we look at the history of national politics in Guyana, the only time you can say that the PPP lost an election is 2015, in nearly 70 years. So I'm going from that background. If we look at the PNC proper has never won an elections in Guyana legitimately. And then you spoke, Freddie, about all of these parties. These one-man parties are not new. We can go back to 92. I used that at my reference point, but before then you have had several. In 92, if you remember, the Eagle landed. My good friend Doctor Gebode. I remember Paul Tennessee.
Democratic Labour Movement.
Right. 92 and all the things that were happening there. If you remember coming down not so long ago, Paul Hardy and his GAP movement, and C.N. Sharma, Justice for All. And what that has shown us...
Team Bench Up,
yes,
111 votes.
What that has shown us is this. Look, you have to have a machinery to win elections. And say what you want about the PPP. The only political entity in this country, and I've been around long enough, and I know the politics from all the sides, the only political party that has the type of machinery that is geared to win elections is the People's Progressive Party. And that's the fundamental truth here. So looking forward, what to expect, I think the PPP civic government has done enough to be re-elected. I would dare say, not because I'm a member of the government, that there has been no government in Guyana that has done so much as regards development in four years, none, since independence. And so the record speaks for itself as to what the PPP has shown the Guyanese people they can do. If we go back to 2020, I like to make this point here. In 2020, the PPP in 2015 in Georgetown, the PPP got 69,000 votes. Okay? And in 2020, they got 80,000 votes, increased by 11,000 out in Georgetown. When the PNC, APNU, just increased their votes in their stronghold by 1,500. And that must say something as regards what the PPP has done. These are factual things. And so, as we look to the elections in 2025, rather, the PPP has done enough, and any objective person in this country, regardless which side and who they support, they would see the evidence is there. The roads where no roads existed, where clean fields used to be. You travel around this country, you know, Clinton, when he was in this country, he said that Guyana is one big construction site. So the PPP Civic, it has done enough. Irfan Ali led government has done enough to warrant being re-elected in 2025. And so that is my opening comments I would make regarding the future.
You have a different perspective. The question is to you too, James. The PPP, the PNC is going to do good?
First and foremost, thanks for having me again, Mr. Kissoon. Mr. Craig, it's good seeing you. Minister Hamilton as well. Though he didn't acknowledge me in his opening remarks as if it didn't exist. But that's okay. That's okay. The PNC formed the government in 64, 66 with regards to a coalition with the TUF. Whether or not we account for that is a matter of the Constitution, but the PV Civic did lose in 64. The PNC would have won elections from then on to 1992, and losing power in 1992 would have formed a coalition government again in 2015. To say the PPP is the only party with a machinery to win an election, I take umbrage to that. The PNC boasts since 1955-57 a woman's arm, a youth arm, a structure, a constitution, groups nationally. The PNC has the machinery to contest any election by itself and win a national election by itself. We, however, hold fast to the view that we're better together. We hold fast to the view that one party governance that does not reflect the political ideologies, the economic ideologies of the entire country is not the way to go. So we've always sought to foster coalition partners. The PB Civic borrowed that from our book. In 1992, they formed the coalesced with the Civic. So whether or not the PB Civic could take full credit for winning elections on its own could be called into question. They have coalesced with civil society, with other persons to contest and win elections. I know, for example, Minister Manichan says publicly, I'm not PPP, I'm Civic. So they have a component which they as well lean on other parties. And I do not want to discredit one party or one person parties. I think everyone has a sphere of influence. An election, I've learned one thing, every vote counts. Every vote counts. And I think former Minister Simona Brooms is also slated to be in the fray. And I do believe this will be a very, very interesting election in 2025. I do believe the PNC on its own could win an election. But as I always say, the work has to be done. You don't win elections by sitting on your laurels. And if you could see the posture of the PNC in the last few months, they've been active. They've been active both overseas and locally. The groups are on the ground. I was doing some walkabout on the East Coast with some of the comrades. And the response we've been getting, Miss Minister Hamilton speaks as though all is hunky-dory and all is well in Guyana, but all is not well for everyone. And the PP Civic isn't impacting the lives of every single Guyanese positively. There have been complaints and gross dissatisfaction from our public servants, for discipline services. Persons in various sectors are complaining of not being given the assistance that they need because they're not affiliated to the PPP Civic. I don't want to say people don't need roads, but I want to say this. The People's Progressive Party Civic has not yet found a balance in which they promote the developmental aspect of the country with the human aspect of the country. No other government has been given a blank check, the amount of resources, financial resources, than the PP Civic got in 2020. No other government had that. From since we've known ourselves as independent 66. And what have they done with those resources? Have they governed for every single Guyanese? Have they done enough for every single Guyanese? Could you tell a teacher and nurse that they've done enough? Could you tell the cane cutter they've done enough? Could you tell Guyanese who still experience blackouts that they've done enough? We have a barge there, and I can remember as a young boy, I may not have the dates and times, but there was a barge, yes. There was a power barge before. Yes, yes. So the PP Civic has not brought anything new, and we've always said this in the PNC. The PP Civic has brought our playbook. They've brought our playbook wholly and solely. And we have to examine as to whether the lives of the ordinary Guyanese are improved. I, for myself, I cook now and then. I made a nice beef curry last night. And I could tell you when I walk into the supermarkets and I walk into the markets, the small celery, the small... I wonder how is the ordinary Guyanese surviving? Because I do not ever complain. I don't complain. Whatever is handed to me, I says, look, I got to deal with this as a man. But my pockets feel the squeeze. I went into the supermarket right on Church Street there and then picked up a couple of things. The bill was 33,000. I spin around and said I'm going to get some greens and some fresh fruits and whatever the case is. The bill is over 15,000. If you want to buy us, Mr. Ramon could tell you I support him very regularly. I'm getting into farming because the price for fruits is astronomical. And these are things we used to walk and pick up in the Northwest in Mabaruma. Avocado is $2,000 and $3,000. How is the ordinary Guyanese living and surviving on this? So I believe there will be a paradigm shift. And all is not well in Guyana. All is not well in Guyana. Let us fool ourselves. I believe the PNC has the mindset to elevate the human capital. And we've always been a people-centered party. I think the leader, I know the leader of the opposition has already crafted his people-centered development strategy, in which he expounded at the Congress the amount of stuff, the amount of things he will do for Guyanese in terms of alleviating the various impacts, negative impacts that we face as a result of the oil coming here, the rising cost of living, how we jumpstart and promote small businesses, etc. So we have a people-centered development strategy in which we will show, I think we will have a positive outcome in the next elections, and we're comfortable bringing on board. I think the FC will come on board in the long run. I think all these parties will come on board under the umbrella of the APNU, AFC, PNC umbrella, and we will have a change in government in 2025.
Leonard Craig, you heard that delivery.
I must say, though, that I would want to ask the same question again because I don't think either of the gentlemen answered the question. How, partially answered, but I just want to zero in on the other part, or the omitted part. How do we see in real terms the shift? For example, you, James, you
spoke about a paradigm shift.
Yes, you spoke about a shift. What size is the shift? You said the PNC with these other parties there will be a change of government. How do you see that configuration happening? Is it that Anouk, for example, will get one seat and hold the balance of power, or how do you see also smaller parties performing?
If you permit me before James, I just want to respond to some of the things he said. That is important. Look, I deliberately said the PNC has never won any elections. James talked about the PNC in government with a coalition. They're two different things. That's the first point. The second thing is, for James Bond, a young man, to come to this program and look Guyanese people straight in the face and say to them that PNC won elections from 1968. I mean, it's astonishing. And that is one of the issues with the opposition, is that they look you and they try to let this never happen. So we discussed 2020. It's like, this never happened. It's a total insult to Guyanese people. I am nearly 70. Freddie is 60 odd. We have lived
I'm in my
long.
70s too.
Right, 70s,
but
right?
you look good. You look good.
But the point is, we have lived in this country. Books have been written all around the world about rigged elections, all the manifestation of rigged elections. And this young politician of the PNC will come and look at Guyanese people. We who are old enough to know this country and its politics more than he would have known because of his age. That you can say that to people just like that.
Yes, the PNC won elections.
That
from 64 until losing 92.
Again, and
who was in power? Who was in power? Who got the most votes?
You will have your time to speak.
Who had the most votes?
This is not railroading.
This is
not railroading.
You will have real politics here, real politics.
You will have your time to speak, Mr. Bond.
Formed the government from 64 to 1992.
You will have your time to speak. Form the government.
And won elections. Who got the most votes?
The circumstances of forming the government.
Who got the most votes?
And for you to, it's astonishing.
Who got the most votes?
It's mind-boggling.
Who got the most votes?
That you could come and say that to Guyanese people.
I think you should move on from that.
Guyanese people have suffered.
I think you should move on. That's a gross aggression.
What we have here is someone saying God exists, someone saying God don't exist.
We won the elections. We got the most votes. We was in power until he died in 85.
All right.
Who got the most votes?
Yes, Leonard. Your next
Minister
question,
Hamilton. No, the question I asked wasn't answered. But Minister Hamilton.
What is the likely shape of the election?
You were a senior member of the PNC.
Yes,
was he a rigger?
Well, I am.
If he did, then there may be.
You are a senior member of the PNC.
Criminal implications for him saying that. I don't know.
Could we avoid any unpleasantries as the program goes on?
Forgive me, sir. Forgive me.
Yes.
Sir.
And you spoke of a machinery and all of that. It therefore means that you have already made a comparison in your mind. You have already made that evaluation. Can you share why you have come to the conclusion that you came to?
The first point, let me again answer James Bond, because I don't want these things to be left on the table. I became a member of the PNC in 1997 when the PNC was out of government. So the issue of a rigging machine has nothing to do. No, I'm correct.
He says you were a member for 30 years.
You are.
That's what he said.
I am saying to you, you have to listen. Don't jump up and down.
Yeah.
I am telling you, my entrance into politics got into the PNC is via GGG as a GGG councillor, first thing. Secondly, 1997, PNC was already out of government.
The host said you were with the PNC. That's what the host said.
Yes, he's right. I'm correct.
He gave you a time frame before as part and parcel of the PNC.
What's the relevance of
I don't know.
No, he was saying that.
I don't know.
He's trying to give an account of what the PNC did. The host is trying to say he could speak on behalf of the PNC.
Yes,
because of what the PNC did at a particular period.
James, I'll allow you just now. Let him communicate his own story.
Listen. You cannot get hot under your collar. Right?
Can I ask a question?
You cannot.
Yeah.
Your place is to answer questions I would want to believe. Yeah. But the point is, I am saying, Craig spoke to my affiliation with the PNC. Yeah. I'm trying to put it and frame it when.
The question is that you would have made a comparison.
Yes.
And then you made a statement today. That is right.
Because the point I'm making is, Mr. Bond could continue to fool himself and the leadership of the PNC. The reality is on the ground, right? I have been around this politics long enough to see communities that PPP could not even enter. Today they vote for the PPP. And I gave an example of a shock wave for the PNC APNU in 2020 when in their bedrock stronghold. Go and check the numbers if you didn't check it. And I suspect the reason why the rigging machine came forward with Mingo and them is because they checked the numbers. The PP numbers moved from 69,000 to 80,000. 11,000 more votes they garnered in the stronghold and the belly of the beast, whilst the APNU PNC only increased their votes, Freddie, by 1,500. That is, I'm talking about real things. James could fantasize how much he wants. And I'm saying that between 2015, between 2020, the PPP Civic did a lot of work in what is considered non-traditional areas. And that is reflected in the votes. And since then, that work has continued. That work has continued. And so
the machinery.
I mean, there's not a comparison over the years, over the decades, and that is the reason why from 68 right through, the PNC rigged elections, because the PPP machinery was always superior to winning elections. And they did not ever allow for that to happen. Again, James could continue to fool himself and think he can fool Guyanese people to suggest that between 68 and 85, the PNC won elections.
Let me go.
James,
let's go back. Let's go back there, because it's one saying.
Yeah, right. This is not the place.
One saying election was rigged. From 68, one saying, look, our party won election. So we're going to...
that message
Can I probe your thoughts on the...
Please allow James to respond and then...
Respond to what in particular?
The question of the strength of your machinery.
I already said that. I already said we've been campaigning. I've said where we've been campaigning on the East Coast and the Region 4, Region 5.
No, but machinery is different, is a little different from that. The machinery really refers to the system in place, that any spot notice, these systems kick in place in order to win an election. And Minister Hamilton is saying that the PPP's machinery, that machinery that is set up to go after votes, is superior to that of the PNC. After making his comparison.
Again, and I repeat for the audience, the PNC has been campaigning in all districts, all regions, both locally and overseas, all regions. We are already in campaign mode. We are a machinery capable of winning any national election. That is what I maintain. Based on, even recently, even local government, we did not contest all. We still made inroads. We still got back Buxton Falls NDC.
You didn't contest?
We still got back Buxton Falls NDC.
So
and so not NDCs, we contested, we made some inroads.
So funny.
We have a machinery in play.
This is so funny.
Just
all right. Freddie, you were asking.
I'd like some kind of speculation from both gentlemen as to the measure of victory.
That was my original question.
Is it possible with the personality of Orphan Ali? He seemed to be a different kind of president who doesn't run the country from his office and like to interface with people. Could he extend in a substantial way the parliamentary accumulation of the PPP, Minister Hamilton? And then, James, do you see, you said AFC will come on board, so that will be a Norton Nigel Hughes combination. When Minister Hamilton is finished with his measurement, could you give us your measurement in terms of the victory?
Look, the thing is, the People's Progressive Party Civic and the PPP Party we're not taking anything for granted. And that's the reason why we work every day. That's the reason why we engage citizens every day. Because we recognize that this has to be consistent work to win. As regards speculating what the outcome will be, I don't want to sit here to say that. What I know, the People's Progressive Party and the PPP civic government, we're doing everything to ensure that we win. And win we must in the circumstances. I as regards, James said that he don't like to denigrate one-man party or whatever. I'm using history to guide us. And that's all I was doing. I'm not denigrating anybody. I'm trying to say that politics, winning politics, whilst you might have a good name, you might have the best name, at the end of the day, what will ensure you win is a machinery on the ground, not the one person, not the one name. And I repeat, that history has shown us in the last 70 years. Let's say what you want about this political entity. They have had the most superb political machinery ever in the history of Guyana. And I've lived long before James born. And so regarding what the others will do, again, we can do measurements. 2020, the PPP was in opposition going to the elections. And all of these parties, they came up. What is the evidence? You know, Freddie, the WPA, if you look at people chanting behind them in 1992, they really thought that they would have taken whatever number. So people come on this program and they say all around the place that they're going to get 4 seats. We have seen these things already in this country. And I'm using that history to guide me for the future of politics in this country. That's all I'm doing.
Things change.
Yeah, the history of this country has proven that the personality counts. The personality of the individual, the clout of the individual, the charisma of the individual has always been a vote puller. And I think why I do not place insignificant emphasis on small parties, that there are certain persons with tremendous influence and following in Guyana who could impact any national election, who could motivate and inspire people. So that's why I'm of the view that even though you may see them as small parties, Guyana has clearly stated, look, we're not willing to give any political party too much power. In terms of configuration, no party, I think, will get 2/3 majority in Guyana again. I think and given the excesses of the People's Progressive Party Civic, I think Guyana is looking to have checks and balances in place, political checks and balances in place to curb the excesses of the People's Progressive Party Civic. That is basically the new trend in how government is run. There will not be 2, 3, 4, 5 seats going to any political party. There will be a third force. There will always be a third force. That is my point. There will always be a party or a group of parties or a conglomerate of parties who the civil-minded, the civic-minded will say, look, we want to hold the balance of power and in any given day, shape, or form, shift either which way.
If I may say, I believe more in putting these 2 points closer together, in that a person, you must have personality, but within a machinery. And that is how I see it. A personality alone won't get you over the hump, and machinery alone without an attractive personality may also cause you to fall short. Given that, James, your candidate or proposed candidate based on a motion that was passed at your last Congress that Aubrey Norton will be the candidate, or he will decide if there is another candidate. So we are assuming he is the candidate. Do you think your candidate has the personality? Because you just said that personality is a major thing. Do you think your candidate has the personality?
I know he does, and I've defended him publicly and privately. Aubrey Norton, the man, is someone I'm extremely comfortable with. My first foray into politics. My first foray into politics was with Aubrey Norton. Coming under Winston Murray was with Aubrey Norton, and since then, he's been constant in terms of how he relates to the ordinary Guyanese. And I think that counts for much, in my view. He is qualified to be leader, to be president, and I have every confidence in him. Of course, my preferences may not be the preference of every other Guyanese, but that is a matter for every other Guyanese when they're judging him. But I could tell you, Aubrey Norton is incorruptible. He is completely grassroots, could completely move within the stratosphere of society, whether it's in intellectuals, whether it's the common man, the vendor. He could move within economic circles, foreign circles.
So does he have political magnetism?
He has political magnetism. That is why he's been winning congresses. That is why he's still the opposition leader. And that is why he's still the person that commands, as it stands now, one of the largest opposition parties in Guyana, or the largest opposition party in Guyana.
Minister Hamilton, how do you feel about your candidate?
So, my candidate has a history behind him. He won an elections in 2020 that other people tried to take away that victory from him. And for many persons who questioned his eligibility, I have heard hundreds of persons who thought that, who today they have refashioned their thoughts on Irfan Ali, the man, Irfan Ali, the president. And as I've said, talk is cheap. You could talk a lot of things, say a lot of things. It means nothing. And if we go back in time, we heard a lot of these same talks in 2015, 2020. And what did the Guyanese people had, what they had to endure. So people judge you on your deliverables. And any Guyanese objective, 2015 to 2020, what was the deliverables of the PNC / whatever they call themselves. When you compare 4 years, what has happened, you will see the development is for everyone to see. And in all respects in this country, and James spoke to about how it is impacting the ordinary person. I mean, if you don't understand that there are hundreds of people who didn't have a house in 2020 and they have it today because of the policy, the housing program, the housing policy, I can't convince you. I'm dealing with what is real. If you don't understand that there are 30,000 people who couldn't pay for a program to upgrade themselves. Today they're on scholarship program. Some of them have already gotten upgrade degrees and diplomas and doctorates and so. If you don't understand that the teaching profession, a program to ensure that all our teachers are graduate teachers, teachers that are coming into the service instead of getting stipend, they're being paid to come in the service. If you don't understand the importance of 1,000 young people, nurses per year being trained, doctors by the dozen, specialization and so. So those are the ordinary people. And we can go on and on how people contracting field. There are some people who testify, and there's not Hamilton. They testify every day how they were able to participate in the economy in that sector. So when we look at it across the spectrum, we have returned back to children what was taken away from them by James Bond party, who promised that they would have raised it. They said that the 10,000 at that time was... so people judge you on your history. The opposition is untrustworthy. You don't keep your word. And so the thing is, I am dealing with what this country has seen. And no fanciful talk could change the reality of the transformation of this country and ordinary people's development, what has happened to them in their life.
Let me get just a little personal here.
No, before you get personal, let me just take up a few more minutes to respond.
Yeah, that's simply.
There's certain comments made by the minister, again, who's painting this hunky-dory picture of what is happening in Guyana. No one could say at any time that the PP Civic has done nothing. No one could say at any time the APNI has done nothing for the ordinary Guyanese. But let's examine what he said about the nurse, the medical sector. Let's examine that a lot of nurses are complaining that they're importing various other parts from other jurisdictions and paying them much more than them. Let's examine how many teachers are disgruntled still with the salaries they're getting. Let's examine how many persons in Guyana who feel that if they have an incident involving a government official or somebody connected to government, that there will be no justice. Let's examine the contractors. Mr. Hamilton the last time challenged me that AP and UFC, there's no 5 contractors that we could produce, black contractors.
You bring your stuff, man.
That APNU AFC could produce that help. That APNU AFC only help Indian contractors. I brought some contractors here, but I redacted so that they're not victimized. Because we have to be very careful. I brought some names here.
Oh, James, you
from various. No, I'm just saying. I redacted it willfully because I don't want people to be victimized.
What's it?
These are the Afro-Guyanese contractors that APNU AFC would have also assisted. So it's not just APNU AFC.
What does this have to do with
helping Indo-Guyanese, Indo-contractors. What is the evidence here you asked for the last time? You have more than 5.
What does it have to do with
let me continue on the certain points, very important points. I'd be lying through my teeth. I'm not a liar. In terms of the housing sector, feed code and housing nation started with the PNC. That's the first thing. We built housing schemes. And I must say to the minister within the Ministry for Housing and Water, Susan Rodriguez, commendable. You're doing an excellent job. I could give credit where credit is due any day at any time. I have no
for water.
She is in response. She's within the ministry with regards to.
I just want to cut you for a second. But the minister could hold this thing on that light and see the people names.
Well, if he wants to go to that level.
Freddie, I have no interest in this.
Yeah, you know, the truth. You don't have to make
noise, James.
You don't have an interest in.
I have no
You
interest
were wrong
in.
on this.
I
You were
have no
absolutely
interest
wrong
in.
on this, your statement.
I don't depend on you for wrong and right.
Absolutely wrong on this. And you've been wrong on a lot of things.
Answer the questions you've been
This have to be researched, James, to find out.
I know.
I won't present anything.
You think, I don't know that. Your party has presented.
This is verifiable vote.
Anyway, continue.
Yes, I'm saying there's a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions in Guyana. And we can't paint a picture. Just like he's saying, James, don't pick a picture. I'm not painting a picture of doom and gloom. But don't paint a picture of bed and roses. Because it's not bed and roses for every Guyanese out there. The nurses have an issue. The teachers have an issue. The police officers have an issue. The farmers have an issue. The only people that doesn't have an issue is Mr. Hamilton. He does not have an issue. And I know why he doesn't have an issue.
So you're
And that is.
you're getting personal. You really
No,
want to
I
do
don't.
that?
That person, I know.
You really want to get there.
But he's
I
saying
need it.
personal. He
I
said he
need it to
wanted
get-
to do
You're
something
saying-
I need it to get personal.
You're saying.
No, you really
You
want to
said
get
James
there.
Bond
I am
party.
not
This
the
James
innocent
Bond
party.
party. That.
I am not
I need to get to the personal now.
You really
This is
want
personal thing now.
James, and I'll start with you. James, and I'll start with you. What attracted you to politics?
Oh,
And
yeah.
how did you get into politics, and then why the PNC?
Money.
Well, let me say this very from the outset, and be being factual here. The first political movement I was really around was the People's Progressive Party Civic. Yes.
Tell us about that.
I was with the youth parliament. I think I just got back from law school. Well, I started actually since I was in sixth form. Came back from law
Youth
school.
parliament was
But
a
what does the
national
youth
thing.
parliament have to do with the PPP?
No.
Parliament was a national
I'm
thing.
just it's a national
Okay,
thing. They were the
okay.
government of the day. So I think I attended a few of the sessions. I don't think I was in an advisory capacity, whatever it was, but I think it was somebody was advising or something, preparing speeches or something. And my very good friend, Mr. Kwame McCoy, I don't see him respond to my messages. Kwame, how are you doing, sir? So, and then
When you
he
send
was-
a WhatsApp message, you don't respond. But is it based on the content of the message? Is it based on the content? of the-
my friend,
Yeah.
Mr. McCoy, still your friend. So he was saying, James, the PNC, the PP Civic is, a party you could join, etc. I even attended the funeral of when Mrs. John Jagan died. I went to Babu John to that funeral. But I was always plain spoken. And criticized the PNC, of course. They were the opposition. I was like, you need to do more to, challenge the PP Civic to become more viable opposition. And one of the person I was always venting to was Mr. Murray, Winston Murray. And he said to me very simply, James, you have all these ideas, why don't you get involved? And I was like, no, I'm not going to get involved with the PNC. But after he started to run, he said he wanted to go for leader. I decided to get involved with the PNC, with the PNC through Mr. Murray. But after I got into the party and I realized the family there, and it's about relationships. I've met some wonderful people in the PNC here. Comrade Lawrence, Comrade Ali, Comrade Corbin, who gave me the best advice I could ever ask for. Come to his office, so James, just be patient. Your time will come. That's why I never rush anything with politics. Uncle Joe is at 70. He's a minister today.
But
so
challenge is
I challenge,
Corbin
yes.
for leadership.
No, I for presidential candidate myself.
you
former
challenge
President
Corbin.
Granger was a
Corbin
presidential
had given
candidate.
up, and there was a leadership challenge
right,
at
right,
St. George's School. But before Minister,
You were there, Freddie.
Before
at St.
Minister
George's,
Hamilton
yeah.
come in to answer his personal question, you may very well return to your roots.
Let me say this here, and I said this. I said this to.
And his roots is the
I
PPP.
said this.
Yeah,
No, my roots is Guyana. I said this to PP persons. I'm saying.
No, we don't have a political
I'm
party.
saying this very
The roots
clearly. I can
started-
say this very clearly, without fear of contradiction, is that I believe the PPP Civic and the PNC, they have to work together. Why I say this? If you look at the talent and the brains on either side of the divide,
James, you don't want to
let me
shake the
finish,
president.
man. Let me finish. The talent and brains on both sides of the divide. If we were to combine these two, Guyana will be a force. The reason why I think we not moved since '64, all the other countries move ahead and gone from us, is because we have not been able to merge and fuse the ideas and talents we have. You think about it. Dr. Ashley Singh on one hand, my brother, Cargonage Finance on the other. In terms of crime and security, you have so many talents on the other side that the PPP Civic could use. Aubrey Norton's a strategist bar none. So we need to have, again, a fusion of these ideas. Nigel Hughes and AG and Inandalal. Think about if we are to use every single body in a bipartisan manner, with consensus across the divide. What again? So I said this to Robert Corbin at Palm Court years ago, and I said it publicly. I said, Robert, you have to say the PPP and I have to say the PNC. And one day we'll come together.
Robert Corbett.
Robert Passard.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's my vision, actually. That's why I can't go to the PP Civic. Because if I go to the PP Civic, then I'm to me, is that I'm contributing to a weakening of the opposition in so speak. So we have to have a strong opposition. We have to have a strong government. I think someday in the future, the PNC and the PP have to come back together. They have to come back. Burnham and Cheney got to shake hands again. For race relations, for every single thing. You look at the appointment of all these judges and all these, the Chief Justice and the Chancellor still not confirmed. My godfather Clifton, he can still not confirm because we can't agree, we can't find consensus. We have to find consensus, the PP and the PNC.
Yeah, Commissioner of Police is your religious culture godfather?
No, I call him godfather because he looks out for me, man. The few people in Guyana looks out for me like Commissioner.
There are people in the PVP look out for you.
I agree 100%.
No, that's your godfather.
I think if you want...
it's not my talk. In terms...
Okay.
I think if you really need...
Friendship,
really need something substantial that is important to your life, when you go to Minister Hamilton...
Of course. I have a relationship with almost everybody.
I'm sure you would not. Let
me just say this publicly as well. Including the president. I could give kudos where kudos is due. President Ali has been very kind to me.
No, you got
very kind to me.
You got to return to you.
No, I don't have to go there with the PNC. I will see with the PNC.
All right. Minister Hamilton, you first started your political life in the PNC. Then...
No, not in the PNC.
Okay, well, tell us.
Is it how he's leading?
GGG.
No,
tell us your story.
I entered politics not wanting to be a politician. I was a technician. I was the manager at the Guyanese Elections Commission. And then I resigned from there. So I used to be the Elections Commission from 1901. Then won to right up to 1994 local government elections. And so when they had a breakaway with Green from Desmond Hoyt, a friend of mine who was a friend of Green, came to me and said, man, you helped develop the computerized system at GCOM. Could you come and advise us? Because that was new. And that is how I ended up as an advisor to Hamilton, Green and the people, and what's his name, Elvin McDavid, who is now deceased, said, man, you're living in Section K, Campbellville. We need somebody to help, to mobilize people to campaigning. And so as regards the PNC itself, what's his name, knew me, Malcolm Paris, knew me because he was a commissioner at GCOM. And so after I served as a councillor 94 to 97, when I resigned from the GGG and resigned from the council, he said to me, man, you could come and give us some technical help. He'll introduce me to Hoyt. And then for months I said, let me do my thing. I had a company at the time and so. And that is how, again, when entering the PNC, was not as a politician, was to give them technical support. And so 1997 elections came, and I was placed on a list, and that is the history of me and politics, my involvement in politics. Many people who don't know, I've heard, and I don't correct them really, they suggest that apparently Hamilton was a PNC member since the 60s, when that is not so. Right? I was born and I grew up in a PNC household. My grandfather was a PNC. Political involvement of Hamilton in PNC, that started in 1997, and that is my political journey, so to speak. And PPP, again, 2011 elections, I supported Donald Ramotar because I knew Donald Ramotar. I didn't know David Granger. I never heard the man spoke one word about a policy. No political thought. I knew Donald even though we were on opposite side in the parliament. And when I withdrew myself from the PNC, I supported him at the 2011 elections, and that is how. And that is my political journey. As regards, who is best placed as a political entity that is superb than the other. I mean, I have enough experience and involvement in these matters to know that the PPP is a superior political entity to any political entity that has ever been developed in this country. Regarding the elections, I go back to all the names and one man and we went through this. This is not the first such cycle. The Guyanese people are careful with people that are untrustworthy, and that is one of the issues. James spoke to working together. There's a lot of evidence, Mr. Bond, and you must check, where the PNC gave their word to the PPP, and they reneged on it. And I can use, there was one election, I think when Janet Jagan, where they talked about sharing the council chairmanship in Bartica, the Regional Democratic Council. Same thing in Region 4. And the PNC, when it was PPP time to you understand me, to serve as chair, they reneged on those. So the point is, if you want partnership, you have to be trustworthy. I could give you another one, where there was negotiations and where the PNC APNU agreed to review and to reduce the subvention given, the subsidy rather, to Linden for the electricity. And they APNU agreed. And then when they came to the parliament, they said, and that created one big thing, the 2012. That is the genesis of the 2012 bridge matter.
Our operator signal 4 minutes left. I want to ask each of you this question. What is it, Minister Hamilton, you want to see from the PNC so you can say, okay, I will accept them at the table and we can talk about Guyana's future. And then I will ask him about it.
No, the point is you have to be trustworthy. I've just given examples. I don't know if James know about them, where this conversation is not new that he's saying. But the issue about trust, you hear VP always talking about, because there were several instances, I just give 3, where the PPP, they were burnt, where the PNC, they had agreement. I give you one. In 1997, PNC agreed with PPP for the ID card to be used for election purposes. And then after the election, they went to the court and challenged it. So
Justice Claudette Singh.
Yeah, so those are evidence. So when you talk about partnership, in any relationship, I have to trust you. And we have enough evidence, the PPP, they have enough evidence of where they were burned by the PNC when they allowed partnership.
James, what do you want from the PPP for you to say, look, we could move on to a rapprochement from the PNC and the PPP? What do you expect from this ruling party?
Mr. Hamilton speaks of trust. And the PNC and the opposition have been shut out of every board, every commission.
No, that is not factual. That is not factual. Don't say untruth, man. I don't allow you to say untruth.
Mr. Hamilton, state which members of the opposition are on these boards and on these commissions. Could you tell me where they are? I gotta bring another dossier for this gentleman.
Yeah.
They've been shut out.
You don't have a seat. You don't have a seat. You don't have a seat on the
PSC. We're not on the PSC. We're not on the PSC. We're not on the TSC. We're not anywhere. We're not anywhere. We're not any of the state boards. We're not anywhere. You speak of trust, but this is how I think leadership works. Leadership has to lead. And if we're speaking of moving this country forward, we must lead and show by example. So for me, I would like to see the leadership of the People's Progressive Party Civic show demonstrably that they're interested in moving the entire country forward by working with the opposition.
Quickly,
in
Leonard,
each way, shape, or form.
Quickly, Leonard, we have
I just think they should give their last words and let's wrap up. I don't have a.
I would like to know what you guys will be doing politically as we wind down to November 25. Both of you will be active for your respective
Freddie,
parties, of course.
You had a talk with Dr. Ali. You know he's calling elections in November.
I heard President say November all
Not
the time.
November this year, November 20.
No, but I hear you call it
the VP,
but why November? Why,
I don't know. The VP
why not October? Why not
I don't
September?
know. The VP said that at a press conference, that the elections will be in November 2025.
No, so I think it is safer for you to say within the next year.
Well, I'm just going by,
I'm glad he said
I'm just going by
November.
what the Vice President said. At a press conference.
I stand corrected, Freddie.
I'm glad he said
The Vice President said that the election is in November.
Look, the PPP and the PPP Civic, we don't have to wait for elections to campaign.
Correct.
Since after APNU tried to steal in elections, we were campaigning since then, and we continue to campaign, and we will continue to campaign. And we're not taking anything for granted. Our role is to give service to the Guyanese people, and at the end of the day, when the votes are to be counted, I am confident that the People's Progressive Party Civic will get the most votes from the Guyanese people. But once I say that, we have to continue to work, and work we are doing, and we will continue to do that. Right up
the PPP will win 33 or more.
No, the point
He said he doesn't want to
I don't want to speculate on numbers.
007, we gotta go.
The PNC will win 33 or more.
No. Again, I don't want to give any numbers stuff, but we're winning the next election. Hands down, we're winning the next elections. And for the record, we never stole an election. For the record, he said we stole 2020.
Attempted.
And I'm saying, no, you can attempt, and David Granger has always said, agree to the recount. When truly recount, does it look like
Oh, James,
come on, man.
Come
on, man. We must give credit to Mr. David Granger where credit is due.
Both of you will absorb the industrial rights of operators, especially as Minister of Labour. I want to close on this note, though. It's interesting to have both of you because I know both of you, and you are good examples of modest politicians who mix with people and who have no elitism about them. And that's good for West Indian politics, in particular Guyanese politics. I know your birthday is coming up and we have you on the program.
Freddie gonna let the cat out of the bag.
No cat in the bag.
15th of November.
And before we go,
15th of November.
I want to tell Leonard Craig.
I hope we're invited though, you know. That's the only thing. I hope we're invited.
Minister,
hey, pleasure,
you have a special place in this program.
Yes.
James, you have a special
place. It's always a
James.
pleasure, man. It's always a pleasure.
Leonard.
Always a pleasure.
Leonard.
Always a pleasure.
I haven't seen you in a while. Always good to see you. Okay.
Thanks for being with us. You were looking and listening to the Minister of Labour, the Honourable Joe Hamilton, and indefatigable PNC stalwart, Attorney at Law James Bond. They both have given their presentations, adumbrations, and configurations of how next year elections will turn out to be. We will see you on Friday for our normal call-in program. Catch you later. Bye-bye.